We welcome the night.
Welcome to Horror Night Oasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news from the world of horror. Joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host, Ian. Ian, are you there?
I am.
I know you've had a busy week. You just now mentioned it. So besides that, how's everything else going along with you?
Pretty all right. Yeah.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, it's just not to get too everything on the show, but yeah, just a lot of stuff coming up for you on your end, and it's going to be a long haul.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to get that out of the way. I think I mowed the yard for the last time this year, even though it's not as bad as yours, but it was getting up there. But no, seriously, it's been about the same on my end, just taking care of everything, making sure nothing's taking care of ill family members and all that stuff, and the usual. But we're here, and we're here to continue on our Halloween grab bag marathon with, as I mentioned in the post for the show, we thought we were done with clowns, but one managed to make its way into our grasp, and I'm kind of thankful it did, because honestly, I think this one knocked all the other clown movies we did for our Color Gory marathon out of the fucking park. And it did some things. It did some things that even this marathon correctly with our first film. We'll get into that. But our film for tonight is called On Halloween. It's a little, different title, On Halloween, because you always get, Halloween this, Halloween that, Halloween Aunt Ethel's, but this is On Halloween, and that kind of, got me interested, and of course the synopsis sounded interesting, and the reason I brought it up last week to review, and it's a brand new one. It's a 2020 film, and we usually do the new ones when they come out, if it's Halloween related, and this just fell right into our laps, and like I said, it's one of those that it came out of nowhere and fucking, hit a home run. But it has some problems, which we'll get into. I didn't have a pencil, so I don't know any of the names, except for the name of the clown. But we'll get into that. So we have a couple of plot synopses of different characters. So we got different character plots. So I'm going to get into those, and then we'll get into the central story, and then we'll talk about the film and what our thoughts are on it. So one of our main stories is we have a reporter. She works at this tabloid, and she's trying to get this story done for all the killings that's been happening at this park, Century Park, and that's because of all the clown sightings and the killer clowns. It's always on Halloween, October 31st, and there's always someone getting murdered. And they don't know why, and then so she's trying to get this story, and her boss isn't letting her have it, and she's just trying to until eventually she gets it. She's also pregnant, but her and the boyfriend haven't broke the news to anybody. And so they're waiting because she's only 10 weeks pregnant, so they're just waiting for the right time. So that's one story. Then we have two detectives that's been working the clown case, and they got one guy who they thought who they think did it, and like they did it, he did it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He did it, and they're just adamant about it, and they're picked for this new show called Undercover Detectives, and it's this, it's sort of like a cops, real PD sort of show where it's, a cameraman's following them around while they're doing things, police business, and so there's been, it's Halloween again, and there's more, there's all these murders are starting to come back again, and they're questioning if they were right. So that's another story. And then we have this group of friends who see this post because apparently this clown, Boo the Clown, we'll get into the clown aspect here in a second, but he has like social media, which is interesting. And so he's like, if you want to see a clown, come to Century Park at Halloween on midnight, and you'll have a fun time. And so these group of friends, they're college age, sort of older, mid-20s group of friends, decide to go out there, and then they are slowly chased by Boo the Clown. Now, Boo the Clown, he has an interesting backstory as well, because the beginning of the film starts out where we're introduced to Wah the Clown. That's W-H-A-A-A, Wah the Clown. And he is this centuries-old clown, I guess, where he has a curse put up on him, and he has to make someone else drink an elixir to pass on his curse to that person, which sounds familiar because that was the last 5 minutes of Halloween at Aunt Ethel's. They introduced this in the first 5 minutes, and it makes fucking sense throughout the whole fucking movie,
right,
this whole curse, instead of a shoehorning it in situation with Aunt Ethel. He finds a little boy, he's like, I guess, 7 or 8, I guess, and he kills his parents, and he makes him drink the elixir, and then he raises him. This is like told in a flashback of everything, but that's how we get introduced to Boo the Clown, who is, again, it's not really a spoiler, it's at the beginning, it's the little boy all grown up, and he is, again, going after, people on Halloween and killing them for reasons, and we'll get into the reasons, I guess, a little bit. I don't want to give too much spoilers because I think it gives too much away, and I don't want people to go into this with a lot of like being spoiler heavy, because this film works like fucking magic in a way, because the very first problem I had with it was like it had some audio issues, some bad ADR very early on, where like the first half was like, oh, I don't know if I'm really into this, because hopefully they fix the problem, because it was really bad. Whereas like someone, at a home on a microphone talking into the microphone to fix to get the scene correct, because it just felt like that audio is not there on site. And it just like, okay, there's like, they're introducing all these plots and all these characters, and it's whatever. And then like, as soon as they hit Century Park, everything fucking fell into place and worked like a well-tuned machine, up until the fucking finale. I mean, seriously, this film just, it has a slow start, because there's a lot of explaining, there's a lot of characters, but then eventually it makes sense to the story and the finale, and where everything where everything happens. And then again, once Boo gets involved, then the film picks up a couple notches, and that's where it goes into full throttle, because Boo is fucking awesome. And whoever played Boo, he did a fucking great job, because because Boo, again, he just doesn't murder. He murders on Halloween, but he's like all over the place. Like, it's always the same clown, because all these sightings, and it's always on October 31st on Halloween. But like, he's in China, he's in America, he's in Africa, he's in all these different continents, and that's what makes the reporter lady, the tabloid lady, want to do this story, because there's something not right. and like all these things, or just she wants to do this story on it, and that's where she eventually gets the okay to do it. And again, just once they hit Century Park and Boo starts going crazy, again, I was getting a little bit of like Three Fingers from Wrong Turn when he first started because of the way he was acting and dancing around. And then it just like he came into his own as a character because he always rhymes, and he's sort of like a Leprechaun in a sense where he has to rhyme his words. But it's like he's always making fun of it. Like, why can't I get a fucking rhyme? How hard is it to get a rhyme? And it's just like pretty fun with his character. And I just had fun with this one once it picked up because that first act was a little slow, but once everything fell into place and started to make sense, and then the finale, it just like it it's one of those that just came out of left field and just like I really enjoyed it. Ian, what's your thoughts on this? And then we'll go back and forth on everything.
Well, yeah, the slow burn was kind of got to me a little bit as well. I was just like, is anything really going to happen? I mean, we had some cool little scenes here and there that were interesting. And I do have to say that film did kind of, even on the slow part, still had some, interesting moments where a little bit happened. And then it was just utter chaos once they got to the part. And I feel, without getting into spoilers, I felt ending was kind of off because I was trying to think about it, and it just didn't add up a little. It's like something just didn't add up. But other than that, I mean, I thought it was, pretty all right. The cops, the people who played the cops were not very good at, because it was just like all of their lines just felt stiff. And I noticed that too, where it seemed like the audio wasn't syncing up with, it sounded like it was being recorded. Because I thought it was like something going on with my TV. Like, it was just like a glitch or something, because sometimes, that happens. But I was like, oh, that was a little odd. But I think it was, overall, I think it was pretty decent. I liked Boo the Clown, and I liked, what, he was all about. And I would kind of wish they would have gone a little bit further with Wah the Clown, but
there's a little bit there that's kind of like not fleshed out, like the whole reasoning, because he uses the elixir to break the curse, but yet he still raises Boo as a child into whatever he is now as an adult.
Yeah.
So apparently it's not one of those, you live forever, and the age that you're at, you're still aging until, I guess, to a certain point or something. I don't exactly know that, but then like the whole reasoning of the point of Wah in the warehouse, that kind of threw me off, because apparently he needed a soul too for some reason. So it's like that little part, that portion kind of is a little confusing in a sense. But again, I did like sort of like the world, not really the world building of the movie, but the mythology and the legend of Wah and Boo, because like that was just like, again, I thought it was well thought out, because again, we had, Aunt Ethel, who throws a curse in there at the last 5 minutes that don't make fucking sense. And this one is like, as soon as the movie starts, we get some backstory, and then the movie progresses, it makes sense to the overall story. I mean, a few things are here and there, but I love the whole thing of, like, again, you have to drink the elixir. But again, that causes other people to, I don't want to get too much into spoilers, but there's a reasoning why all the Boos are in various places on the same night. I'll just say that. And I just like that whole aspect of the Boo world in general, and like the whole warehouse and the torture chamber, in a sense. It's just like, and plus his character in general is just like fun. It's just like very rambunctious type of like crazy, like because he's always like he's so thrilled to murder somebody, like because when the first set of cops come there, and like he's just like he has like a nail gun, a high-powered nail gun. He just goes out there and like, oh, you gonna shoot me? Oh, you gonna do that? And he just shoots the cops and takes their shotgun. And he looks at the nail gun, the shotgun, like, I'm gonna take the shotgun. And then he starts using the shotgun on people. So it's like he's very adamant about killing. I loved his enthusiasm too, because the character who's playing Boo just like exuberated. It came through as the character of Boo, and again, everything else that played along with that, and some of the conversations with Boo. Ian will know what I'm talking about, but other people have to watch and find out. And then again, like you have your stereotypes, with the teenagers or the group of people that go there, and they kind of, like it's, I just played that up, and again, a standard slasher fare. Like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This one is just like, yeah, it worked for what they're trying to achieve. Like sometimes the slasher movie comes out there and it's so by the numbers. Like this one is like it's by the numbers in a sense, but then they add all the aspects of everything playing out, and it just like it's interesting, and it just like again the whole the script and the writing in general really worked for the film. Besides that, again, that first act, and again, like I'm not exactly I know the reasons for the killings in the beginning with the cops going after everything when they're doing the show, is because they needed blood for the elixir, so that kind of made sense because they're draining the blood. But then you learn the reasoning why later on in the film when it gets revealed, and it's just like again like all this stuff like makes sense as soon as once it gets towards the end. Except again mainly besides the wall stuff and he needs his soul and he's tied up and he wants to get free. There's a lot of stuff like that, like kind of like I said before, confusing. But just that first act, and then like you're just like following like certain characters too. Where like, okay, where's this going? And then it comes into play as the reach the climax. And again, the ending, yeah, it's a little bit like, okay, really, but I thought it was because like she technically loved she loved him. So I assume if you love it, join them. But nonetheless, I had fun with it once it hit that part, because it's just like that slow build, and you're just not really into it, but you just got to get over the hump before you can take the the fun journey that it goes on, because it's nonstop. Where once they hit that park and all the plot lines converge, then that's when it goes full throttle, and it's really fun, because I've really had fun with this one. When Boo started killing them and making rhymes, and everything started to fall into place. So yeah, it's definitely, and again, done so well too. Again, I don't know what the budget was on this one, but it's just like if they managed to do this, again, it could be a limited budget than on Ethel, but just like again, just the whole curse and just the way that the plot was built around Boo and Wah and everything. I mean, yeah, a little confusing in one aspect, as I mentioned. But everything else, just like they managed to, like he really, Timothy Doyle, I believe, was the director. It's his only feature so far I've seen on the page that I have there when I was looking up who directed it and if he did anything else. So far, I think it's his only feature, and he did pretty well, damn good job. And I'm interested again if he does another slasher movie or something else. I mean, it's just like he managed to hit. It's not perfect. I'm not going to say it's perfect. There's some issues with it, but for what he achieved and for the fun that it has in that last act, it's like you don't get that in most slashers. You don't get that fun of killer going around. We didn't even get that much fun in half the clown movies that we reviewed for our Color Glory marathon. Where this one just like is full on, like probably one of the funnest things I've watched in that last, once they hit that park. It was just like so much fun. Him going around killing people. And everything is getting them, revealed, and all the other little plot points and the reasoning behind things and the elixir and the torture chamber and the booze and everything like that. It's just like, it was so fun just seeing that come into play. But, Ian, I'll let you talk. I was going off on a tangent there. Because there's again, when you have fun with something, you want to talk about all the things, but you don't want to spoil it too much. So I was just going off there.
Oh, yeah. No, you're fine. One thing, I just thought of it, too, just a little bit ago. How come Wall didn't have the same effect that Boo did when it came to the elixir?
Yeah.
I was kind of curious about that.
Well, I guess maybe he's younger and he has more powers than being, older. And I guess I'm not exactly sure how old Wah was, but apparently he's been there for a while because the 1800s they had pictures of him from like 18 something.
Yeah.
So apparently he's like an older clown, and where this one is still young but growing, so he has like more powers. I'm assuming. I'm not exactly sure. It seems like it kind of was a little bit off, but like, I don't know. Maybe he was just now starting to get more people to be like him. Whereas it was weird. I don't know. Again, it's unusual. Just that aspect, because it does kind of like, why does this happen with this Boo, but not with Wah? And but different clown, different period, I guess. I don't know. I guess one's old-fashioned and one's chaotic, and again, reasons he wants revenge, so he does whatever he wants instead of sort of by the books in a way. I don't know. It's a good point. It's a good point. But it is one of those where you just kind of just like, it's just one of those where you just like, it's, tossing salt over your shoulder, like, whatever.
Right. And I also have to say, like, the actor who played Boo, one, he was the best actor on the screen, and he absolutely nailed it. Like, the whole, psychotic killer clown. And, we've watched enough killer clowns where it all featured the same kind of premise from those clown sightings from a few years ago.
Yeah.
And
I was thinking like Gags too, like Gags the clown. You know how he tried to do that world building towards the end of that, where he like teleports and he has like a portal to hell and a carnival underneath the city. Like, he still managed to do so much better in this than they did with Gags. And just like, again, like all these other clown movies you bringing up, like this world building that they try to do with it or put them in, and the mythology, and like this one just nailed it perfectly. So it's just like that fine tuning that you need before shooting the script.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we and honestly, out of all the clown movies we've watched this year, this definitely was the better of them, and especially, I am getting kind of tired of the clown sighting. Like, this is why the clown sighting happened. It's actually because of this clown and that. And I'm just like, can we just go back to, like, killer clowns just being there because, not because, like, has anything to do with that clown sighting that happened a few years ago?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, I just feel like they're beating that horse to the ground, and it's already kicking. Like, just go back with another little, story plot point for it. But other than that, I mean, that's not a bad thing. It's just like kind of like, I don't know, I'm just kind of tired of it. Even though I love clown movies, and I've always loved clown movies.
Mm-hmm. No, I think this is like a good step in the right direction, because he made the clown like a badass. They just like gave him this attitude and just this crazy, like over the top, like murderous rampage where he just like gets the thrill out of it. And like, again, he wasn't like that. He was raised like that by Wah, and just like to take this little adolescent, like 7 or 8 year old, and turn him into this fucking menacing killer clown. And it's just like he has the thrill to murder. And it is interesting. It's a good. It's like at least it made sense. In the best terms possible, where like like, fuck it, it's like, you did this, you caused this, I'm just gonna fucking go out there and have fun. And he's just like, that's the thing, like, the clown movies are missing, especially when we did the Cologoria marathon. Like, they're just using them for an aesthetic. And this one is like, it's managing to take it back and just make it like a fun killer clown movie, And again, it has a rough start. But once you get over that little hurdle, that small hurdle, and they hit the park, then it's smooth sailing and everything makes sense. And it's just you're just like, it takes you by surprise, honestly. Like, once they hit that park, because you're slugging it out like, okay, whatever. And then once the people find the clown in the park, and like he starts going after him and he's teleporting around, and it's just like, then that is, and they go to the warehouse later on, and he's like having fun with it, like like a lion chasing its prey, like he's just like having fun. He's stalking them, like, well, there's a warehouse over there, but you don't want to go over there, He's like he's like having fun, poking at him, poking the bear, but they don't listen. So there's some tropes in there, and they just don't listen. But it's still, I had fun where he's just like a constant badass, where like you don't get that. Just like even killer in slasher killer in general, you don't really have that badass character all that often. It's just like there's no, there's like some lame reason that they're a killer or they're wearing this mask. And this one is just like, no, fuck that. He's just going to be a menacing, take no prisoners, homicidal killer clown. And there's a whole lineage and backstory to his character that, again, it makes sort of sense, if you don't look into it too much. And it's just, again, I had fun with it. I had fun with it once it hit that park.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I really enjoyed the way he went with it. And definitely, other than the mild problems that, bound to happen with, lower budget films anyway. So it's nothing too, terrible. But I really did enjoy what they were trying to do. I felt like this was definitely, like, it had a lot of heart into it, and it had a lot of, they just went out and had fun with it. I definitely am going to recommend this movie for anybody that likes clown movies, because, everybody needs
I mean, honestly, this is, as I said before, this is just one of those that just, like, it made, like, Cologoria worth it, because we had this to thank for making us sit through all the shit that we had to do for Cologoria when we did all those, 8-Ball Clown, fucking, whatever the fuck, Clowntergeist, all those films. Like,
oh, God.
This one, just seeing this is a breath of fucking fresh air. I mean, like I said, it has some issues, if you dwell on it too long. Some things don't make sense, some problems here and there. But, again, it's just one of those things you got to gloss over. I mean, you kind of have to have, starry eyes to, look over some of these things. But, just do that, and it's just mindless fun, like, again, the first half, like I said, the first act is rough. It's very rough. But then it makes sense to the story and the reasoning behind it. You just have to get to that point in general, and it's worth it. And you look back on it like, okay, I understand the reasoning why they had to do that. And again, it's a slow burn until the final act. So, and then, like I said, it's a slow burn. It's like you're going up the roller coaster. You just have to go up that fucking ramp. That hill, that slow descend up, and then finally you hit that crescendo, and you're going down. You're having fun. You're going loop to loops, round in circle, upside down, everything. And it's just like that. It's just like you have to go that slow descend up, and then finally you hit that peak, and then it just goes straight down. You're having fun. You're screaming. You're doing all that fun stuff. So it's in situation, it's similar to that, where you just, you have that long wait, and then you're on for the races.
Yeah, and I just wish this would have come out, and during that marathon. Maybe
honestly,
not one of those movies.
I know, but it's like it was related on Halloween, so I probably would have saved it for just this marathon in general because it's Halloween related and we needed stuff to watch.
Yeah.
But luckily, it fell into place perfectly because, again, with the other films we reviewed so far this month, it's done all right. I mean, we didn't hate last week's film, but this one's just like, we enjoyed last week's film, but this one's just like, again, it was fun. It was different. I needed something. I guess I was just in the mood for a fun slasher movie for some reason. And it had, again, it's not the most creative kills, but they use that because they're inventive in other ways to coincide the kills. I mean, you have some, I like his knife, too. It has like an air horn on the side of it, too. A clown horn like, on his knife. So whenever he stabs someone, he honks it. Yeah. So there's like a lot of fun things and gags to the film, and like again, they're inventive in other ways to help make the film, not as cheap, or just like by the numbers as like some other films, where just like they're inventive in other ways and not like we didn't need a lot of gore. There was some decent blood and like a throat slitting scene and everything else, but it's just like the world building of Boo and Wah and the legacy and the legend and the mythology, and just like it was just so fun. And then like again, the reveals of everything, what they're doing in the warehouse and underground in the tunnel. It just all fell into place so perfectly. It was just fun, just like you needed that little kick in the butt and just like get something done. That's what they did. It was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna have fun with this. I'm gonna make it a mindless killer slasher clown movie, and that's what he did. So I can't really complain too much because I really enjoyed, again, that first act is a little rough to get through, but you need that descend, that slow build to make up for the fun that happens later on in the film once they hit the park, and then everything is just like smooth sailing after that. I mean, besides a few hiccups, here and there, but again, I had fun with it. I can't complain too much because I really did enjoy it once everything started to happen.
Yeah, I'm just glad he wasn't a heroin-worshipping clown or that stupid clown that ran on all fours. And that's all I could think. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I mean, at least they gave clowns their, good names now. Like that. He's not on the, I don't know how people think of Terrifier now. People think of him as a new horror icon. But, I mean, he was bad. I wouldn't say Terrifier is badass, but like he's gory. He's violent. But like this one, Terrifier is more like subdued with his violence. Is like, oh, here's some gore. Like oh, you don't think I'll do this? Just wait. He's sort of menacing. But this one's just like take no prisoners in a way with Boo.
Yeah.
So I kind of like him a little bit more. And plus the way the guy portrayed him was just like he was having fun with it. He was really giving it his all, and I can't really praise him enough because that really made the film stand out more. It's like when Heath Ledger did Joker. It's like it's memorable. And like him going around
like. I would love to see him in more.
Yeah, seeing him going around just like all these weapons and just like having fun. There was like one thing too, like because he had like the crossbow at one point, and then the next thing when all the kids, I'm calling them kids, but all the people go back to the car and like the crossbows in the car, like is there two crossbows, or did they do it backwards?
I thought that
like
too.
That? Like, yeah,
they might have edited it wrong.
Yeah, they edited it differently, like out of sync. It's just like, oh, he should have had that later, but I don't know. But nonetheless, I do recommend, like Ian, we recommend it. I mean, if you want something, again, if you had to slog through all the color gory marathon that we did last month, I mean, this is just, again, it's cool to see a badass clown and not one fucking being belittled by an 8-year-old that's on a telephone that's contemplating suicide, So I don't know. It's interesting. It's a way better film. I'll just say that. Compared to, I don't even know the last two that we did for Color Gory. I just know we're the first two. I just remember Clowntergeist. And
I honestly,
I
forgot the names of them as well. I just remember 8 Ball
because I don't know. I know one we kind of dug, But then, like, again, it's just like when we even when we reviewed them, like, it's probably going to be okay, but I'm going to remember 8-Ball Clown for the rest of my life. You know?
Yeah.
Like, nothing is going to wipe that memory from my existence. So at least I have Boo and, like, helping, because, like, at least I know that there's, like, sort of faith in clown movies, even though we had to dig through so much shit before we managed to find one that's fucking good, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, I definitely, like, this is up there. I just want to see, part of me kind of wants to see a sequel just because I want to see more of that dude playing Boo. Almost said 8-Ball. But yeah, just playing that character again, and just the sheer insanity. Hopefully, like, I would love to see it, like, turn into, like, a kind of like a Killjoy kind of thing where he gets more people into it and starts, like, wreaking havoc throughout the whole town, even more so on Halloween. I'd love to see that. It shows that he went all over the world. So I think that would be an interesting, could be an interesting, like, sub-story or something. But I don't know. I just want to see him.
I looked back. I looked back. The other one we reviewed was Clown, the one set in the shed. Remember? That's supposed to be the big top. So yeah, like that one was not.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I only remember Crepida. Yeah, that's what. That. Oh yeah. I'm getting flashbacks of that.
See, that's another one with another like lineage thing, sort of, and like this one still did it better than that one. Like every single one of those films that we reviewed for Colored Gloria had like this lineage or like this like mythology to the clowns, and like this one did it in shades better. Even again on Ethel too. You know, if we're going for Halloween curses and all that stuff. So it's like it's crazy how like one film managed to just like overshine, like again with incompetent writing.
Yeah, it did. It really did flow really well with the like it didn't. It wasn't like, you know, because the movie, like some of the movies we've been watching lately are, you know, just there was no like, because we wanted to do it. Like, I didn't have that feeling. Like, it actually felt like, you know, they knew what they wanted to do, and they were trying to pull it off as best they could within their, you know, budget, you know, restraints. And honestly, like, I'm just glad it was a well thought out movie. It's just, you know, it might not be the best thing in the world, but I love when it's at least, you know, competent, doesn't take itself too seriously, and just has fun with it. Like, that's all I want, is just to watch a movie and actually have fun with it.
And this one managed to do that. Besides, again, like I said, besides that, descend upwards to before you hit that, you know, go off the top end of the roller coaster and going down and going around everything, and it's where it's fun. It's just like once it hits, and just it keeps that pace, and you don't get that. Usually, like the pace just like, you know, like stops here and there, but like I mean, it kind of does that when they introduce like the you know, again, the husband of the journalist, because they have to introduce him because of reasons later on. But like it's just like 10 seconds. It's not much. It's just like, oh, the show, like he's going there, you know, something, because like a news story breaks that there's murders in the woods, and he has, okay, I got to go after her because she's pregnant and I need to take care of her. You know, I'm the, you know, boyfriend husband, and you know, just like it doesn't shy away from too much. And then they have, you know, like all this other stuff that's going on, and it's like, I mean, there's some, again, we're gonna go around in circles again, you know, saying a lot of stuff that's already been said.
Yeah.
But like the tropes are there with the kids when they go there, but like some of it, there's that one scene I forgot all about this. But when they go there, and like the cops and the guy with the detectives and the TV show cameraman, and like they're trying to leave, and then they go out the door, and then Boo comes out with a chainsaw, and they go in unison, "Fuck that," and they fucking leave. I was like, I busted it. I laughed pretty hard at that one because that's funny because it's like it's obvious, like fuck that. So it was just funny that they played up on that.
And then when
they're just having fun.
And when the camera guy got shot, and they just like looked, and you're just like, well, they just like turn around and just start walking away. I just was like, what the hell? I was like, these are terrible cops.
And the
Lord.
cops are having fun. Like, come on, he took acting classes for this. He wanted this so bad because the one detective, wanted to be on this show, and like they're having fun too. Like, can we call it like instead of like because undercover detectives, can we call it like UC Dicks? Just, and then there's like little fun things here and there that they have fun at. Just like and like. And then later on in the film, like his U's coming off, like now it's just C Dicks. So yeah, they had some quirky moments, fun moments.
Yeah.
But again, we're going far too on with this one. I guess because again we liked it. Usually we go long if we either liked something or we really hated something. Like last week, it was in the middle and we ended early. But this one, we just had fun with it, and there's like a lot of things that, without getting into spoilers, there's a lot of things we could talk about. And again, I liked how everything, again, minus a few things here and there, it's not a bad movie. That's just what you want. You want a fun little stupid, I wouldn't really say it's stupid, but it flows really well. And it's just something you can have fun with. If you want to have a slasher movie with a killer clown, I mean, you want to have a fun film. You want that fun slasher. And this really plays that up in spades. You just have to get through the brick wall at the beginning, but once you Gorbachev tear down this wall, it's free reign,
Yeah.
But I don't really have anything else to say. I mean, I like I said, we suggested, and hopefully, you get some fun out of it, because if we did and managed to talk this long on it, it deserves at least one watch. And it's short, too. It's like 78 minutes without credits. So it does kind of go by once it hits that fun part in the park. You just have that. It's a little bit of a ride. I think it's like 40 minutes. So you have to get that introduction basically out of the way, and then once that 40 minutes hits, you've smooth sailing. But
right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what Timothy does in his next feature, and hopefully he keeps continuing to add whoever plays the clown, Boo, continues on with him as like a standby, and it's like Tim Burton with Johnny Depp. If he does good, keep hiring him and put him in as like a madman or something, or some kind of character. Just like let him do it. Don't make him do it all the time, but of course, like Johnny Depp being in makeup all the time. But nonetheless, who cares? If it works, it works. Don't break the mold.
Exactly.
But next week, hopefully, again, I don't know if it's going to be as. I'm hoping the film arrives because I ordered it off eBay, so I don't know if it'll get here in time because I got to get it and then I got to do things with it for Ian to watch it. So hopefully we'll have a film. Again, I won't know until probably the day of the show, but we'll have a standby in case I get it like the day of the show, because it's gonna take me a while, and if I have to do it the day of, we'll have to do the standby. So we'll figure that out off air, Ian. With that being said, as always, great talking with you, and this has been a fun marathon, especially with this one. So
yes.
As always, thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you next time for the conclusion of our Halloween Grab Bag Marathon. So, Ian, till next week, sir.
Good night.